Hello, friends. My name is Cody and I look after developer relations here at LaunchDarkly. A huge part of my career was spent stitching together different systems in the enterprise to talk to each other and try to duct tape versions of automation that would take one thing and process it all the way through my systems to get an end result that was good for my teams. What I love about LaunchDarkly is we have a lot of different ways to bring automation directly into the platform that don't require a high amount of stitching to make work. And in this video, we're going to dive into a few of those cases and show how you can get started with automation at a few different complexity levels. Let's jump in and take a look. Here we are in the LaunchDarkly portal. I'm in my default project and my test environment. I've got a couple of feature flags in play, and normally I come over here, I hit this toggle, I turn it on, save changes, and I'm good to go. There's a couple of things right out of the gate that I can start to do to drive just a little bit more automation in this environment. I can come over and hit this schedule button here, and I can start to apply a schedule change. So I could come in and say, I want this to happen today, and I want this to happen maybe at 4:46 p.m., 1 minute from now, right? I can go ahead and set that if I wanted to. I could also come in, request approval, and configure out a different set of approvals that would be that this approval would be gated behind. That's one basic kind of automation, and it's really just the idea of scheduling out a change and letting the system manage turning that on or off. It's very lightweight, not a lot of complexity there. My favorite next level of automation that we have in the platform is the workflows concept and the idea of creating these pre-designed sets of tasks that come along with an application release. So I can come in here to workflows, and I can create a workflow, and we've created a few basic scaffolds of different processes that you might want to use. So you might want to set up a workflow for a specific maintenance window or want to do a progressive rollout, right? The progressive rollout one is interesting because if I select this, I can choose what flag state that I want. I can say my increments and how many days I want that to occur over. So if I came in and said every 4 days, it'll bump out or bump up another 10%, so 20, 30, so on and so forth. So I can use this to automatically scaffold out this progressive rollout over this window. If something goes wrong inside of that, I can stop that workflow from running and back it out. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. I like the way this is configured. I'm going to come up here and hit edit, and I'm going to call this my progressive rollout. And instead of starting the workflow, I'm going to save this workflow as a template. So I'm going to name this template progressive rollout by 10. And now I've saved this as a template. What saving this as a template allows me to do is reuse this template when I want to deploy a new workflow. So I'm doing this one go ahead and start this workflow so we can see how it looks. I'm doing this for the logon flag now. But if I was to flip over into the new UI flag and decide, you know what, I really liked the configuration that I had in place for that other workflow, I'm going to come in here. I can do apply template, and I've got a couple of different options. I'm going to grab that progressive rollout by 10. And it's going to make me fill in when this should start. So I can come in and say, I'm going to start this one at 4:50 p.m. instead. Right, and I can come in and start this workflow now. Now, if I come in and take a look at that login feature flag, we can see that it's in progress, right? That first rollout to 20% of my users is hit. If I jump into that demo application, we can see that I am in that first 20%, so that's pretty cool. And that feature is rolled out to me. So this will go all the way through until something stops it or it completes in its entirety, right? So this is going to roll out all the way through November 16th. So if I pop in here, I can say, you know what? I'm not liking where this is going. I'm going to go ahead and delete this workflow. Type in the key so I can close it out, and it's gone, and that workflow has been stopped now. The same thing for the other one. This one's set up. I could come in, delete the workflow, new UI, stop, and that's changed. So that was using the predefined setup of like a progressive rollout, but I could come in here and do a custom workflow from scratch and actually build out all of the configurations I want. So I could say at a scheduled time, so after 1 minute maybe, I can start to build out these custom rules, these custom building blocks for how this workflow would work. So I could set the rollout percentages. I could turn targeting on and off. I could manage targets of users. So if you want to scaffold a process that would move from your dev users to your QA users to your prod users, and then 50% of prod users, and then 100% of prod users, you could scaffold that all out here in this workflow as well as save it as a template that you could use later. So workflows are a great way to bring a process-driven approach to the way you roll out features. They help you create scale and help you operate in a way that is repeatable across a number of releases. So now what about when you want to bring external systems in and have external systems drive flag values inside of a platform? For that, I love to use something called flag triggers. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to scroll over to the settings tab. I'm going to take a look at this triggers for test section. I'm going to go ahead and select add a trigger. And what we'll see here is a number of different flag triggers I can pick from. So we have a bunch of our APM providers here like Datadog, Dynatrace, New Relic, SignalFX. These will let us trigger flag states based on values that are coming in from those providers. So if Datadog is seeing a series of 400 errors, maybe more than 100 a second, we can have it go ahead and do a trigger that would disable that feature. In this case, I'm going to use the generic trigger. And since this feature flag is turned on, I'm going to use the generic trigger to turn it off. This gives me a URL that I can call, and I can actually integrate this into maybe a CI/CD pipeline or into some other workflow system that would call this based on a set of other conditions and actually disable the feature for me. Here locally, I'm just going to use the command line to show it off. I'll open up a new tab. We'll do an HTTP call, post against that URL with empty data. We can see I get a 200 OK back. And when I go back and look at that feature flag, it's now disabled. And in the application, it stays disabled as well. So flag triggers give you an excellent way to drive great integrations between platforms without having to scaffold it into a unique API call and worry about the content of that API call. We can simply call a URL to enable or disable the flag based on what's configured inside the platform. Now, these are all systems that are within LaunchDarkly, and there are certainly more that are built into the platform that we can use. But I think another place that I want to touch on is the idea of integrations. And we have a number of different integrations that let us bring in a number of different automation types. We have Slack as an option. We can start to drive, like both view, monitor, and control those flags interactively within the Slack application. There's a number of other tools that can be used as well. One of my favorites is using Zapier. We recently released this integration, and what I love about it is that Zapier has this wide ecosystem of a number of different providers that you can start to stitch together. So I've used the integration with LaunchDarkly to create a few examples here. A good example of this is this access token notification. I have a shared account that my team and I use to demo and try out LaunchDarkly and show off LaunchDarkly. And what this actual integration does is when access token is generated inside of the LaunchDarkly platform, it'll actually fire off a Slack message to myself and my team. And all of that is built in, managed by us, controlled by LaunchDarkly, or built out, and those parameters are made available for that integration. So this integration lets you tie in a number of different systems. Say you want to have it not just send a Slack message, but also create a calendar entry when when a feature flag is changed. Maybe you want to use that as part of your change management process. That's totally possible using integrations like the Zapier one to drive interactions between a number of different platforms. In this video, we only touched on a few examples of driving automation within LaunchDarkly. We didn't even unpack things like using the API to connect services together, or even tools like Terraform to manage configurations inside of LaunchDarkly in a more declarative way. If you want to learn more about how you can build better software faster with greater experiments in LaunchDarkly, you should check out LaunchDarkly Academy, our new learning and enablement website. Don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube, and I can't wait to see you next time. Have a great one.